Subscribe to Tech Altitude and press the bell icon to get notified for the latest videos.
Hey everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome to Tech Altitude. So a lot of phones are getting launched in 15 to 20,000 price bracket. So I thought why not to make a video on the best budget smartphone that you can buy in the 15-20 price bracket. You have the likes of the Poco X2, the Realme 6 Pro and the recently launched Redmi Note 9 or Note 9 Pro. We'll get onto it. So without any further ado, let's get it started. So the first phone I recommend is the Realme X2. Now the Realme X2 was replaced with the Realme 6 Pro just few days back. Why I'm recommending the Realme X Pro is because of its beautiful design and the AMOLED screen. Now under 20,000 there are very less phones which are having AMOLED screens, and to have an AMOLED screen under 20,000 is a blessing. Yes, of course there is the Realme K20 which also gives an AMOLED screen, but the Realme K20 is very old and it shares the same Snapdragon 730G processors as well. But the Realme X2 has better cameras than the K20 and overall better design, and it also has a quad camera setup with a 64 megapixel primary camera, a 8 megapixel telephoto and two more cameras for the ultra wide and one monochromatic. The only thing in which the Realme X2 lacks is the high refresh rate display. Now the Realme X2 does not have a high refresh rate display that other mobile phones are offering, for example the Poco X2 or its successor the Realme 6 Pro. Also with Realme X2 we get a 4000 mAh battery and a 30-watt charger. So if you are willing to sacrifice a high refresh rate display with an AMOLED screen, which you should, then Realme X2 is the better phone out of it and it's a bang for a buck. So my second phone is the Poco X2. Now the Poco X2 has a 120Hz high refresh rate display which is an LCD display, and it has a Snapdragon 730G processor. Combine that with a 4500 mAh battery and a 27-watt fast charger. You also get a quad camera setup at the back which houses a 64 megapixel primary camera sensor, and there are other sensors, that is macro, that's ultra wide, which is of 2 megapixels, and an 8 megapixel telephoto sensor. You also get a punch hole display in the front for the front facing camera. It houses a 20 megapixel and a 2 megapixel dual sensors that can use for portrait shots in the Poco X2. Now on the third spot we have the Realme 6 Pro. Now the Realme 6 Pro and Poco X2 are really similar phones. Just for 1000 rupees more on the Poco X2 you get a Realme 6. So if you are wondering why Realme is charging 1000 rupees more for the same smartphone, it is because of, yep, that's the reason why. Realme 6 Pro offers a high refresh rate display of 90Hz. It also has that Snapdragon 720G processor, a Navic IC support, and also it has a 64 megapixel main camera with 3 more cameras on its support for a 5 megapixel ultra wide, a 5 megapixel macro lens and an 8 megapixel telephoto lens. You also get a 20x hybrid zoom capabilities on the Realme 6 Pro. It also has a 4300 mAh battery and a 30-watt, yes, a 30-watt fast charger on the Realme 6 Pro. To be honest, where it's lacking is on the processor, the Snapdragon 720, where the Poco X2 is offering the Snapdragon 730 and a 90Hz refresh rate other than the 120Hz that Poco X2 is offering. But if you don't want to go with Poco X2, then Realme 6 Pro should be your best buy in this price bracket. You are not losing much than a Poco X2. In fact, you're getting the hybrid zoom capabilities with the Realme 6 Pro. It also has that punch hole display as well. So the main question comes down to, do you want a punch hole display on the right of your phone or on the left of your phone? So on the fourth spot is the veteran of this price bracket. We have the Redmi Note Pro and the Note Pro Max. So why I have kept this Note Pro and the Note Pro Max on the fourth spot is because it is not having that high refresh rate display. It's an LCD display and it still has that 720G processor that Realme 6 Pro is offering. It also has that quad camera at the back, but where it exceeds is in its battery. You have a 5000 mAh battery and a 33-watt charger. If you ask me, if you care about the battery of your mobile phone, if you want a longer lasting battery, then Redmi's Note 9 Pro and the Note 9 Pro Max is the phone you should go for. You get the two variants, that's the Redmi Note 9 Pro and the Note 9 Pro Max. Yes, so Redmi Note 9 is the phone you should go on the fourth spot. So on the fifth spot is for the Samsung's offering, the Samsung's M31. Now I have used the Samsung's M30 for a couple of days and I was really disappointed with its camera, but as Samsung has promised that the Samsung M31's camera is better than its predecessor. Now the Samsung M31 has a 64 megapixel primary camera, a 8 megapixel secondary for portrait mode, and two more 5 megapixel cameras for telephoto and a macro. So with the same hardware, these phones are coming up. We have the Poco X2 which has the same setup. We have the Realme 6 Pro which has almost same setup. We have Note 9 and the M30. The camera hardwares are the same between these mobile phones, so it really comes down to how the image is processed. Now Samsung is known for its highly saturated image processing, but in the predecessor of Samsung's M30, the ultra wide camera was pathetic. You used to get softer images, there was no sharpening at all, and you can take a good shot only in great lighting. So I hope that Samsung has fixed this with the Samsung's M31. It also has a 6000 mAh battery and an 18 watt fast charger. So if you're a fan of Samsung, then the Samsung's M31 is the phone for you, but it is not suggested to buy the Samsung M31. I know there are some people who like Samsung, who wants to go with Samsung because it's a good brand name, it's a great brand name. But to be honest, with Samsung's offering, they are really lacking behind the competition. The competition has a higher refresh rate displays, they have better processors, they have higher RAMs, but Samsung wants to still stick with the Samsung's M31 and an AMOLED display, which is good. The display on this mobile phone is really great, but what I want is a great processor as well to keep up with this competition. So that's all with the top 5 mobile phones in the price bracket of 15 to 20,000 rupees. So thank you for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.